Hi, my name is Jen, and today I wanted to share some of my favorite books and kind of book recommendations for making your baby registry. In this video, I'll share some of my favorite baby authors, some of my favorite books, types of books, and then topics. So I am an expecting mother, as you can see. I will be having a son in just a few months, and I already have a 1-year-old son now. And so I've kind of been through this a little bit, and through the first year of my son's life, I've kind of learned a little bit about different types of books that he likes as far as topics and his attention span go, and then also what types of books are good for him to play with and touch, and finally what books I also really enjoy reading. So before we get started with my book recommendations, I would like to share just a couple of tips about the books themselves. For a baby and even the early part of being a toddler, I would definitely recommend having board books. I think those are just so helpful. They're so much more durable. You can clean or wipe them if your baby has a spill or throw-ups on them or whatever else. And if you buy them at a store and you just want to make sure that they're cleaned, you can do that. I also really like kind of cloth books. Those, we just have a couple of them. You'll see one later in the video. That's just a really wonderful book. Again, you can clean it really easily. They can chew on it and it's okay. The book isn't harmed. And it's just a very different type of texture, which is wonderful for a learning, exploring, growing baby. Finally, my other tip to consider, I would definitely recommend if you're buying books more for a baby or a toddler, I would recommend books that are shorter and smaller. I found that with my son, he isn't as interested in like longer stories. I've tried to read some like Dr. Seuss books to him, and I can only get about halfway before he loses interest. So I really like finding books that are a little bit shorter, concepts are a little bit easier. I think after he's kind of a toddler, maybe as he gets closer to 2, he'll like more of the stories, and so we'll get a lot of those books then. But I think for a baby and like 1-year-old kind of stage, I would really recommend finding books that are just very short, simple, that have a lot of rhyming and kind of basic sounds and common words, lots of repetition. That way your baby can really learn and engage in those books, and the time that you're spending is more productive and not as frustrating. So the first category I recommend is finding books that focus on colors, animals, sounds, very kind of fun and simple type concepts that are repetitive and have a lot of rhyming. Just as examples, I really like Jimmy Fallon's Your Baby's First Word Will Be Dada and Everything is Mama. And both of these are just really fun to read. They're very simple, with just a few words on each page. So it's very easy for my son to learn and really absorb what's happening in this book. So he can really learn, for instance, what a waffle is, because that's the sole focus kind of this page. So that's really helpful. It's very calming with the artwork and just the few words on each page. That's very helpful. So I really appreciate that. In Your Baby's First Word Will Be Dada, there's just the word dada and then an animal sound on the other page. And that's really helpful and really fun for your baby. So I really like these types of books to read. The next category that I recommend are books that are a little bit more interactive. So they have cutouts, they have tabs or things that you can flip or open. or they have things that you can pull out. I really think that these types of books are really, really helpful, and they're really fun. I know that my son enjoys all of these books, and we have a few more as well. So this book here is called Peek-a-Who, and it's by Nina Layden, and my son really just loves the cutout here, so it makes it really easy for him to grab a hold of the page, and it just adds a little bit more interest for the book. And there's also a little mirror in the back, and he really enjoys that at the end. The next book is 15 Animals, and again it just has a little bit of a cutout on the cover, and he just finds this one really fun to turn and flip through. It's called 15 Animals by Sandra Boynton, and she's also a really great author as well. Another type of book is kind of a book that has like a flip or tab or something like that. So in this book, My First Peekaboo Animals by Eric Carle has these little tabs here where you can flip on each page, and that's just something that's really interactive. It's really fun. My son is very tactile. He loves to touch everything, and so this is something that really grabs his interest on each page. And the rhymes and like the story is good, and the pictures are great. I love his artwork, so this is a very, very good book. Another book that's similar to that is Where's Spot by Eric Hill. I love this book. It has a nice short little story, and then also lots of tabs that are kind of in interesting places, and they open from different in different ways or directions, so that also adds another level of interest. All right, another book that I recommend, or a type of book, is A Day on the Farm by Steph Hinton. This book has tabs that you can pull out on each page, and that's just something that's really fun. My son always loves it when I pull out the tab after I read what's on these pages. He always loves just seeing what comes out here, and they also included the picture and image on the back, so it kind of works both ways. And he loves to just pull it out and push it back in and just kind of play with it in that way. And this is one of his favorite stories as well, so I definitely recommend this book. Another type of book I recommend is a kind of cloth material type book. This one is called Kitty Tales. It's by Anne Wilkinson, and I think the company is Little Jellycat, I think. But yes, this book is wonderful. Again, my son loves to just touch things and feel things, and this has like the crinkly sounds. He can chew on it. He can feel each tail, and he absolutely adores this book. He has me read it to him at least once a day. It's a very fun kind of book, and it's really held up very well. So I know that I can clean this book. I can toss it in the wash and clean it if it's been a little while, or if he starts to chew on it, just to make sure that it stays clean and nice. So I really appreciate that about this book as well. And it has this little like Velcro attachment up top, and that's also something that my son can play with. So I really appreciate kind of all of the thought and practical uses for the book. So I definitely recommend a book like this. All right, another kind of topic of books that I recommend getting is a bedtime book. I have 2 books here with me, but I have a few more in the house, and these are just really great books to read each night. We rotate kind of which book we read at night. My husband loves to read this one to my son, and I'll read this one and one of our other ones to my son when I put him to bed. So I like having a bedtime book or a few books just to make the routine a little bit easier. We'll usually read one of these books right before we put him to bed, so we'll read a few books to him, and this will usually be the last one. So that way it really helps to clearly communicate this is time when we're going to bed, because we also read to him during the day, and so these books really serve as kind of a reminder, this is when you need to sleep through the night type of thing. So I definitely appreciate these. I would recommend getting at least maybe 2 books like this, just so that way you can change it up a little bit. It does help to have just a few options to read, but I really like having bedtime books. This one is called Bedtime for Batman, and it's by Michael Dahl, D-A-H-L. And I definitely recommend this. This is a very fun book, and yeah, the artwork is great, the kind of story is great, and I love how it has a little bit of a comic book type feel to it. So it's a very fun book to read. And then this is Goodnight Little One. This is written by Margaret Wise Brown. She's the author of Goodnight Moon, another good option. This one is just really fun, beautiful artwork, cute little story, and my son really likes how big the book is, and it's really fun for him to turn these big huge pages. So this is a very fun book as well. So another thing I recommend is finding some books that are a little bit different from your other books. So it's really important to have rhyming books, to have books that are repetitive and that teach colors, animals, some basic words, different things like that. But I think it's also really helpful and important, at least for your sanity as a parent, to have some other books as well. So for this one, I have a book called The Peace Book inside. I also have this book here, Quantum Physics for Babies. This book is really wonderful to read. My son really loves this book as well. Just the very simple kind of artwork is very calming to look at. The concepts are really broken down real well, and I like how they use different colors to point out the different things. My son is able to pick up on some of those patterns now. That's just really fun to see him kind of learn and grow with this book. I really also like it because it provides me with a chance to kind of use some other vocabulary with him, so that way he's being exposed to other words and I'm getting a chance to also learn something and just think about some other things. It's really nice to read about cats and dogs and animals and things like that, but it's really nice to have some other topics in there for my own sanity as well. Another book that kind of fits into that category, I definitely recommend this book here, Baby Signs. It's by Dial Books for Young Readers, and the pictures are by Joy Allen. This is just a wonderful, beautiful book. It's very easy to follow and to learn how to do these. I've taught my son how to sign a couple of words, and that's just been really helpful and fun to watch him learn and kind of understand and be able to communicate with me. So this is definitely a great book. I highly recommend this. And finally, the last category that I have is books that are a little bit more uplifting in tone. So there's lots of books that kind of cover either a story or they are teaching like words or sounds or other things like that. I really like these books because they are really uplifting, inspirational. They really help to develop a kind of positive, healthy psychology, mental health attitude, whatever you want to call it. And I really just love these. The first one, just one of the examples, is Wherever You Are, My Love Will Find You. This is by Nancy Tillman. She is another great author. I've liked all of the books that I've read of hers so far. And this one is probably my favorite. It's just such a wonderful love letter, I feel like. And to be able to read that to your child each day is just so wonderful. Sometimes you don't know what to say, or you can just not know how to say you love them so much or whatever. And it's just really nice to be able to read it to them every day. And I think it's just so important to build them up and remind them and tell them daily how much you love them and what your love really means. And I think this book does a great job of accomplishing that. So I definitely recommend this book. I also really just love the artwork in here. It's very beautiful, so definitely recommend this. Another book in that category is You, but I really enjoy this book. It is just very positive and affirming, and it really just, I think, helps to develop a healthy kind of worldview and personal psychology. It just talks about like just exploring and asking questions and not being afraid of being different and trying things new and being kind of whatever it is you want to be. It's just very, very positive, and I think that's really great. As many ways as you can kind of fit in more positivity, I think, is important. So that's really great. And finally, The Day is Waiting by Dawn Freeman. I really like this book just because it just has some very nice, simple artwork. It's not too long or lengthy. My son can still sit through and read this, even though it's a larger book. And I just love the kind of positive view to just not be afraid and see what the day holds for you, and also to explore and travel. I really appreciate all of those themes and values. Those are some of the themes and values that I hold most dear, and so I really love being able to share those with my son through some of the books. So yes, I'm so thankful for all of these books. It's just so wonderful to be able to sit down and spend some time with my son and read to him, or watch my husband read to him. Reading is something that we value, and so it's so wonderful to be able to share this with our son. And so far, he definitely loves to read. He's constantly pulling books out and bringing them to us to read to him. So I'm very happy that he enjoys reading as well. So yes, thank you so much for watching. These are my tips and kind of recommendations for books, authors, and types of books and things to look for when searching for books for your baby registry. I really just love how reading gives you a chance to share some of your values, spend some quality time with your child. It can really help to set a routine for going to bed. There's just so many wonderful benefits and uses for reading. So I really appreciate that. I hope these tips and recommendations were helpful, and I will be making a video of my very favorite baby books, and I'll have that up soon, and I'll try and leave a link in the description below. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you enjoy some reading. Bye.